Welcome, one and all, to our March meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Reverend Scott Oxford will give us an invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, send down upon those who hold the offices of alderman, mayor in this town, the spirit of wisdom and of charity and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their respective offices to promote the well-being of all in this community. Through Christ our Lord, we pray these things. Amen?
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend.
Yep.
Just a couple of little short things on announcements. First of all, let's get the business done, and that is we need to amend tonight's agenda.
Yes.
So Matt, if you'll explain that, please.
Sure.
What we're doing.
What we'd like to do under new business is add an item for a budget amendment that recognizes $30,000 in revenue from the Greenway Foundation and a $30,000 expense for the town to construct a shelter at the town square. The way we've been doing this in the past, of course, is that the town pays for this and then we're reimbursed for that, and that way we have a kind of a paper trail that shows what expenses have happened on the property. Again, there'll be no expense to the town. You know, it's a wash for us when it's done. I think the idea is about a 16 by 20 shelter that will tie in nicely with the design of the bathrooms that are there with some of the rock work and a covered shelter. Don, you may.
The roof is going to look exactly like the town square restrooms. The rock work is going to be on each of the pillars, and it's going to be the same rock and have the same kind of little angle. It's going to reflect and be more or less a good sister to it.
But to consider that, we would ask for a motion to amend the agenda to add that budget amendment to the new business.
Okay, do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes unanimously. So that'll end up being E under new business. Correct. Okay. Two quick things. Number one, tomorrow is the voting. So please remember to vote, and please tell someone else to vote. Number three is in 2 weeks we will have, or a little less than 2 weeks. 2 weeks from yesterday will be Easter. Wonderful time for all of us in the valley here for the different services that are going on. I do because of the fact that it is such an early one that in case folks have forgotten, I would just like to tell you just a simple thing, that is, Easter is derived in kind of from a formula, and that is, it is the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. That's how that's how Easter is determined. So it changes each year because of the way the full moon falls either before or after the equinox. So just a little bit of trivia there. This is a proclamation. Dean received an award. Dean Luby. He is our financial director here at Black Mountain. And he received this award. It's from the Government Finance Officers Association. It's for the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, commonly referred to as a CAFT report. Presented to the town of Black Mountain, North Carolina, for its comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2015. So this is not something that is handed out lightly. There are very few towns across this state. This is a national award, and even fewer passed out nationally. So even though this says the town of Black Mountain, this is primarily the work of Dean Luby. Very good, Dean. We don't have anyone signed up for citizen comment. I think that's got to be one of a first. So we'll move on then to communication from boards and commissions, agencies. Matt?
Yes, you have a report from Peter Vasquez, the chair of the planning board. So I'll ask for Peter to come up and give you an update of what they've been working on, which is a lot based on how many public hearings we have in the last year.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the Board of Aldermen. We did, as Matt mentioned, have a very busy 2015. We had quite a few text amendments that we offered up for recommendation for you, such as adding definitions for congregate care facilities and nursing facilities. Our tobacco ordinance, we asked that be amended to include vapor products, as well as working with changing how setbacks are being measured here in town, and changing the side and rear setbacks also for the HB8 zoning districts. We also worked on one-way road widths for subdivisions and bringing that more in line with the compliance with the fire department, and worked on our steep slope section of the land use code, which reflected the current enforcement based on a communication from Town Attorney Ron Sneed. We also worked on rolling in the Housing Commission's duties into the duties of the Planning Board. As you know, the Housing Commission was rolled into the Planning Board last year, and so I'm hoping that we can see a little bit more work towards that on the Planning Board. We did have some additions to the non-residential maintenance code that we recommended for you, as well as regulations upon fences in town and greenhouses. We also did some cleanup with that. Some educational facilities were removed as conditional uses from the HB8 zoning, as they were already listed as a permitted use. So that was just a little bit of housekeeping there. We offered a recommendation for a rezoning for Highland Farms. They had purchased 17 acres of additional property, and they had asked that the town of Black Mountain annex that. And we also worked on the recommendations for the master plan for Roberts Farm, which we approved and sent up the ladder for your approval, as well as the Cheshire Village amended their master plan to include a pocket village behind their fitness center called Jacob's Cottage, and Montreat also amended their master plan for the in the Oaks, and that included a new soccer field, reworking some of this soccer field, the softball field, adding a sports complex and bathrooms, and that would be in place of the student housing that was originally planned for there, I believe, in 2011. We also recommended the street closure to you. It was a small right-of-way off of Hiawassee Avenue to south of Konichi, and we requested that, the property owners requested that change in order to gain a small additional property so they could build, I believe, 2 new homes that were categorized as affordable. We also approved the master plan for 6 duplexes, townhomes on Flat Creek Road, and also asked for the approval for the preliminary plat for Phase 1 of Roberts Farm, and also approved the sketch plan for Amy's Way, which was 7 lots. In the year coming, we hope to be working on our land use map, and we hope to see what new and exciting things are coming to the town of Black Mountain.
Very good.
Any questions?
Any questions, any comments from the board? I'd just like to say thank you.
Thank you.
It's one of the things, this is not exactly, and it takes a lot of effort and concentration and focus to have to deal with these issues, because, they're not the most exciting, they're not the final four as far as going ahead and eliciting excitement to deal with, but you trudge through them and you debate them, and basically what this does, though, is to ensure people that move to this town, not only those that move here, but those that live here, that we stand behind what we say, we listen to the citizens, and then we adapt as times and as things change.
That's correct. And we have a member on the planning board who sums it up very nicely. We are not going to be remembered for what we did right, but we sure will be remembered for what we do wrong. So,
Very good. Thanks again.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next, Mr. Mayor, you'll have a presentation from the Beautification Commission, giving us an update on what they've been working on so diligently. I think Joyce Blackworks is going to speak for them.
While Joyce is walking up there, I'd just like to say that this is one of the committees that certainly is a direct reflection of when you hear the term a sense of community. These folks really contribute to the sense of community.
I want to thank Angela for helping me because I'm not very good at doing two things at one time. First, I want to thank all of you for inviting us to be here tonight. Beautification Committee has been serving Black Mountain for 16 years now. Next slide. Our work is based on our mission statement, which is the people of Black Mountain possess a cherished tradition of honoring the natural beauty of the surrounding mountains, all the while seeking to reflect that beauty on the streets and in the lives of its citizens. Next. Here's how we work. We meet once a month. Most of our members maintain at least one garden site. We have special projects we do with subcommittees, and through this presentation, I hope you will see an array of the work that we do. Next. We presently have 42 members, which represents a 25% increase in membership since we made a presentation to you in 2014. You'll notice our youngest member, who is Joshua Adam Bennett, in the lower right. He comes to each workday with his parents, Angie and Dan Bennett. And each year we identify goals and objectives, and these goals direct our work for the coming year. Next. During 2015, we worked over 4,300 hours. If we were to put a minimum wage of $7.25 to that, it would represent a donation of over $31,000. Some of our members have degrees in horticulture, others are master gardeners, and we have leaders from all walks of life who bring skills of excellence to everything that we do. What have we done? Well, we maintain 16 garden sites and the hay racks and containers in town, which enhance the beauty of the town. Next. For the past 5 years, we have held a garden contest for the citizens of Black Mountain for the best flower and best vegetable garden in town. This past summer, John and Mimi Crognally were the winners of the best flower garden, and Fran McConaughey was recognized for her fabulous vegetable garden. During the past 2 years, we have awarded $1,150 to individuals, organizations, and schools. The focus of the work must be gardening related within Black Mountain and add a little something extra to our town. In 2015, grant recipients were students at Owen High School, Black Mountain Elementary School, and the 3rd grade reading room at Black Mountain Primary. They all created new garden spaces at their schools. As in years past, we have decorated for fall and Christmas. Some of you might remember Rockette. She was so popular, she disappeared 2 days after she began welcoming people to Black Mountain. She was found later, long after Halloween, and she will be back next fall, but we hope she won't be taking any vacations this time. 2016 represents the 11th year of the Black Mountain Garden Show and Sale that is our major fundraiser. We hope you will be there. You can mark May 21st on your calendar. Since we met with you in 2014, here are some of the things we have added to our already full agenda. We have a couple of members who advocated for years to the North Carolina Department of Transportation to improve the landscaping at the I-40 entrance into Black Mountain, and that finally happened this past fall. In 2015, we consulted with the town on how to landscape the area at Lake Tomahawk where the trees had to be removed. In addition, this past fall, we made a major improvement to the walkway between Veranda and Europa. And that was the before picture. This is the after picture. This is the new Hawatchin Way. This is a very well-used walk between Cherry Street and Dobrety in particular. And we thank all of you for naming this Hawatchin Walk for Dan and Tekla Hawatchin, who did the metal and concrete work in that alley. And we are currently researching decorative signage to hang there. This is Boulder Hill, a new area that we added at Sutton and Doherty Street that used to be a bland hillside. And if you sit on the boulders there, you can have a wonderful view of the mountains. And we now know if we need a boulder, who to call. Thank you, Alderman Collins. During the last part of 2015, we began maintenance at Town Square. Members of the Beautification Committee, along with volunteers from town, will be weeding, planting seasonal color, and performing the general upkeep to keep this jewel of our town as a welcoming center to Black Mountain. Does anyone know the name of the berries along the fence rail? Those are winter berries. And the other photo is a new member, Tracy McMunn, with her mom, Kay Worley, who is 88. She wants everyone to know you're never too old to join beautification and have fun playing in the dirt. And this photograph, at our goal-setting exercise in 2015, we had a general consensus among members that we would like to work with the town on developing what we're calling a consistent look for the downtown area. About 10 years ago, we worked with the town to install hay racks on the business fronts. Over the years, businesses have been adding their own pots to their entrances. What we have noticed is that it's become a bit of a hodgepodge look, and we think it's time to create a more unified look for the historic district. So this is actually Jamie Matthews and other members of Urban Forestry as we did a walkabout in the historic district one rainy, cold night in early February to discuss how they were going to do the replacement of trees in that area. So we may have been in the dark then, but we are really moving into the light. How do we fund our work? Well, first, we are funded in part from the contribution from the town, which we very much appreciate. We also do our own fundraising to implement our many visions for the town. And sometimes we have too many visions, but that's another story for another day. Susan Shabbat, a former member who just moved out of the area last year, made this rose petal quilt. It was all hand done that we auctioned at last year's garden show. Also, at the show, members offered their gardening, gourmet cooking, and artistic abilities at what we call the clothesline sale. If you would like someone to garden, provide you with a gourmet meal, or if you would like to take dulcimer lessons, for example, then come to the garden show and come early. Last year, we also worked at 10,000 Villages for a 10% donation of the day's sales profit. By being an affiliate organization of the Parks and Greenways, it enhances our fundraising opportunities and allows members of beautification, along with citizens of Black Mountain and friends and family of the committee, to make financial contributions to our work. Our volunteer efforts are made even more effective by our collaboration with other organizations. Our thanks to Mayor Michael Sobel and Alderman Don Collins, because they are helpful in doing the fall decorations for the town. We also want to give a special shout out to the public services. Jamie Matthews and his crew are always helpful if we need them to help with our projects. And there they are cleaning up the Westgate welcome sign. We also collaborate with other organizations in town. For example, we work with the Swannanoa Correctional Facility for Women. Our members work with the women there in growing plant material that we use for the hay racks and pots in town. We also do the litter sweep. Last year, for example, In one area, we collected 14 bags of bottles in a homeless camp behind Bilo's. So that was a lot of pickup there. We are working with Urban Forestry, the Chamber of Commerce, the businesses of Black Mountain, the Monte Vista Hotel where the garden show is held, and we are also grateful to the Black Mountain News. They are receptive in printing articles about our work, and all of that contributes to making Black Mountain a town in which we take pride. We are all grateful to be living here and to be part of the Black Mountain Beautification Committee. We recently came up with a new motto: we play and plant well with others. Thank you all for your time and attention, and thank you, Angela.
Everyone in town is blessed by the work that you do. We know that we've got a wonderful cake here, but you put the icing on it. Thank you. Okay, Matt?
For your consent agenda, Mr. Mayor, you've got the adoption of minutes from February 4th agenda session to February 8th regular session. And we have the approval of the 2016-2017 rate schedule for the Black Mountain Golf Course. Generally approve all fees with our regular budget process, but because golf season begins hopefully soon, depending on how nice the weather is, we would request, and we did this last year, we'd request that you review the rate schedule at this meeting, and our request is that we increase the individual 5-day pass and the individual 7-day pass from $700 and $800 respectively to $725 and $825. So there are no other increases requested for the upcoming year, not for the regular green fees or the cart fees, but those two fees we would like to see increase $25 just as a way, frankly, because I think that every year we need to take a look at all our fees, and if the cost of doing business is higher for the golf fund, we're really making a concerted effort to balance the budget and keep that running like a business. And if we're going to do that, then those fees have to reflect the cost of doing business, and some of those costs, as always, go up. So we would request that you amend the rate schedule accordingly.
Do I hear a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Does anybody wish to pull anything? If not, no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So it passes unanimously. Next is citizen comments for the upcoming new business. And again, I don't see anybody wishes to speak. They can, even if they didn't sign up, they can come forward. Not seeing any, then we will go to new business.
Yes, sir. And your first order of business is an ordinance to prohibit weapons on town property. North Carolina General Statute 14-269 gives us the ability to restrict weapons on property. There are some certain exceptions, and that is listed in our ordinance. Our primary goal is to keep handguns and weapons out of public buildings, which would be mostly town hall, public safety building, public services, the buildings at Lakeview. But there are some other limitations here too, and there's some limitations on the restrictions that we can have. So I think that we can't of who can, first of all, who can carry, even in spite of our restrictions, and where those restrictions can be enforced. But I would most municipalities have a similar restriction. I just think it's probably for safety purposes, I feel like it's probably better for our employees and better for the public, and a good move for the town. So I'd request that you approve that ordinance.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve ordinance O-16-06, prohibiting weapons on town property?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passed unanimously.
Yes, sir. Next, you have an adoption of the town square use policy. Staff and the Recreation Commission have taken a look at some rules for use at town square. I think we've always had a vision for how town square fits into the landscape here. I think there's lots of great things that happen there, but I think the direction that we've gone is to not allow people to reserve space there, to rent space, especially if, the splash pads, some areas like that, and while we want to encourage all the uses there, then there's a lot of uses that that go on there because it's a traditional town square property. But there are some limitations, and most of those are, all of those, of course, are listed here. We'll put a sign out if these are approved, kind of giving an idea of what we do, what will still be allowed, or how people will be using town square. I would keep in mind that at the agenda session we had mentioned changing the commercial enterprise section to include no person shall offer, sale, or solicit for sale or solicit funds for any purpose, and then the rest of the statement, and that will include. I think the premise there, at least from our perspective, and maybe from yours too, is that we'd like it to be a town square, not a town marketplace, and that with that in mind, we wouldn't allow solicitation of funds there from any good cause or a cause that we may not like. But to be consistent, we're gonna restrict all commercial activities on town square, and so I think that was the only change that we had from our agenda session. If there's any other questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Okay, do I hear a motion to adopt the town square town use policy?
So move.
Any discussion on it?
Matt, how will the commercial enterprises be monitored?
Well, the way we do things now, there, even if you're going to go out there, let's say you're going to do an event, not an event, but if you're going to do any kind of assembly out there, we still like this for you to get a permit from the town, just so that we have a contact name, so that if there's other events going on, if the town has an event going on, so we do still encourage any group to get a permit from the town to use the property, even if they're not, even under the condition that they're not going to reserve it. So that's the way we'll enforce it. And if people do solicit out there, then of course we would have the same way we would enforce smoking violations or now handgun or weapons on public property. We will ask people to comply with our ordinance, and we'll have a sign there too that will let people know what the rules are on top.
I mean, would you use citizen reporting, or would you have police officers who kind of drive by every once in a while?
Well, the police officers are there. I think I feel pretty confident that if there's an issue, that citizens would let us know. But we won't have any other. There's not a person assigned to town square. So that's right. So if somebody were to see, if beautification were to try to do a garden sale there, we may, unless it was in conjunction with something that the town was doing, we would probably ask them nicely to do their garden sale somewhere else, and that's how we would address it.
But we're not asking citizens to go up to somebody and say, "Oh,
No,
you have a permit to be out here."
No, that's certainly right. I don't know that citizens may well do that, but we're not asking them to do that. We handle that from a staff side to address those issues. Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Any other comments? I would like to say that this town square, as like most town squares in the United States, one of the primary reasons for it is for the expression of your First Amendment rights. So you see folks out there, whether it's for religion, whether it's for speaking on politics, that's what a town square primarily is. Over the years, there's other mediums that have gone ahead and taken the place of the public forum, but we certainly encourage that there, and if someone wishes to do it, they certainly have all the rights and backing of this board. Motion to adopt this policy.
Move.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Your next item is consideration of a lease proposal at the Carver Center with the Swannanoa Valley Montessori School. You have a copy of the lease that we had put in there in your original agenda. I know there had been some discussion at the agenda session about some items that you all wanted addressed, and I think we will do that. My primary goal, and just so you know, I would like to change the wording in the motion. The motion says to enter into a lease. Really, What this motion would be is to consider a lease with the Swananoa Valley Montessori School at the next regularly scheduled meeting on Monday, April 11th, 2016. That then gives you your 30-day notice to the public that we're considering a lease with the Montessori School. Now, and like I said, there were some changes that you all had requested. We will get those to them. And if there's any issues with that, then we will address that at the April meeting. But this is mostly to begin the discussion of a lease proposal with the school. And I would keep in mind that there is a rate involved. I think it's $30,000 a year. So, and I know there were some questions about the rates and those things. We'll get those answered before the April meeting when it will actually be on the agenda for consideration at that time.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? I would like to go ahead and mention at this time then that, first of all, the Carver School was built some 60-some years ago, and this was primarily the black school. The town took over this property, got it from the county several years after that, and we've used it as our recreational headquarters and offices. We've also used, a lot of the rooms in there have been used by various groups over the years, and it's been to the benefit of the community that they were able to have a place to come to be able to either go ahead and teach their dance lessons, do yoga, GED, whatever. We did talk with Casey, and Casey said those folks, there's not many, I think there's only maybe 2 that will be displaced by this, and that they do have places to go to. But one of the good things about this is the fact that this group coming in, this Montessori school, will be paying funds. The town has expended almost over $200,000 at this point in making sure that building is kept up. We put a new roof on it and brought up the insulation code to what the code is now, which has certainly reduced drastically our heating consumption there. We've also just put new windows in about what, 2/3 of the building?
Well, about half the building.
Half the building,
yes.
then. That was another 100. So you're looking here at a couple $100,000. Well, that here again is a way that we're able to go ahead and help replenish our funds by renting this to the Montessori school. So, having said that, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that passes unanimously, and we will consider the actual lease next board meeting.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Your next item is a resolution and an ordinance for demolition at 204 Portman Villa Road. Town staff has inspected the property. There were numerous safety issues there. The property owner was given time to correct the issues and has not done so. There was a hearing that was held with the building inspector, and I don't think we've received any further communication since December of last year regarding the property, and so we would request that we move forward with the condemnation of the property.
All right, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Stone. Any comments? I will make one on this one. This is property rights, and so we don't enter into this lightly. I like to refer back to a gentleman who used to have the Black Mountain News, Mr. Gordon Greenwood, who was a legislator in Raleigh for years and years, and he was a big advocate of property rights. And his favorite saying was, one of his favorite sayings, was that a man's home is his castle, and if he wants to live like a hog, he can live like a hog. But it's got to be safe and sanitary. This place was not safe, and there is the primary reason why we went ahead and are taking this action. A vote. I'll call for a vote on this. We have the motion. Mr. Stone made the motion.
Somebody made the motion.
Yeah, Mr. Stone made the motion.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Stone made the motion, so now we take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
And then we've added, lastly, under new business, we added a budget amendment to reflect a $30,000 revenue from a line item from contributions from the Greenway Foundation, and a $30,000 expense to construct the shelter at the town square as proposed.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
All right. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Just to be sure, Matt, explain this again, how it's being done, because I know in the past we've had situations come up where folks have questioned this type activity. So
Okay.
just explain it.
Well, let me explain the process for how we do it. Alderman Collins has been more involved with the look of the shelter, with working with the foundation. But here's how we handle it. So, anytime an improvement is made to a piece of town property, you all have to approve what's going to happen there. And the way we do it is, and this creates a paper trail for us from accounting purposes. The expenses run through the town, and then we're reimbursed for those expenses from the foundation. So if it costs $22,000 or $28,000 or $30,000 or up to $30,000 now, then that will be reimbursed. And we'll be reimbursed for any expense that there is for this. There won't be any expense to the taxpayers for the improvement. It'll come all from the foundation, which is privately raised money.
Okay. Was there a motion? Did we get a motion?
Yes,
on
I
that?
think we did. I made one.
Yep.
Okay. Alderman Harris, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That takes care of the new business. Now we've got to have a public hearing, and we need to have a public hearing. I think first of all, we'll get Josh up to explain this. This is a public hearing for
Josh, step
text
up.
amendment to text and map amendments.
Yes. Josh, if you'll just give a
Protest
brief.
petitions.
This one should be brief and easy.
So last year's General Assembly session, they pretty much removed the ability for folks to have a protest petition against a rezoning. So what the planning board has reviewed, the staff's recommended that we remove that from our land use code, since the General Assembly has removed that from the general statutes. I can go over exactly what the terminology is if you'd like me to.
Unless this board does, I don't.
I think we covered it
Okay.
well in the agenda meeting.
All right then, I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is now open. Not seeing anybody wishing to speak. Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Now we need a motion to adopt ordinance O-16-03.
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Unanimous? And last, to adopt a statement of consistency to amend Chapter 1, Text 1.15 and 1.0 of the Land Use Code. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Alderman Harris, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Second public hearing is for text amendments to setbacks and measurement of setbacks language. Josh, fill us in.
So as Peter alluded to earlier, the planning board did address this, at least a portion of this issue in 2015. However, as we move through this land use code, we continue to find sometimes issues that we overlook or that we still need to fix. So this, in fact, is a difference in the definitions section of our land use code, which outlines setbacks in one way, and then we have an actual setback section in Chapter 4 of our land use code that outlines setbacks in the way they're measured in a different way. So what this amendment does is bring those two together, and now you're going to be consistent on how we're measuring setback, which instead of from the right-of-way, if the property line extends into the right-of-way, we're now going to measure from the edge of the roadway or the back of the curb instead of the right-of-way.
When you say roadway, you're speaking of the actual pavement. They have a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Harris, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Don't see anybody. So a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Harris again, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. So now, number 3, to adopt ordinance O-1604 to amend the land use code ordinances of Black Mountain. Motion? Okay, Maggie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. And the last, to adopt a statement of consistency to amend Chapter 4, Text 4.3.3. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
All right, Alderman Ryan, Stone, All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you, Josh. Next, communication from staff.
I have nothing for the board this night.
Matt?
I have just a couple of things. I will remind you that it's getting close to time to fill boards and commissions vacancies. Again, we'll be advertising that soon. I think the deadline for that is going to be May 20th of this year, but I would like to encourage the public to apply for vacancies. We have, as always, we're going to, we'll have 2 or 3 on every board, and Angela will have applications. I think you can go online and get them. So I would encourage people to apply. If you know anybody that's interested in applying, please have them come and do that. And I would remind the board too that we have. I'm calling it a budget workshop, but I'm like at your place should be a draft capital improvement plan. And what you have in front of you is it's a 5-year plan. We need to focus primarily in this meeting on Wednesday morning at 8:30. Is it 8:30? Yes. Wednesday at 8:30 on the projects that are in here for the FY 16-17 year, because that's your upcoming budget year. So this is the kickoff for our budget workshops. But I do want you to look at it in terms of the 5-year plan. I will let you know that on the front page, or the first couple pages in, it'll list all the projects, but it's by fund. So you'll see all the projects for the general fund. You flip through, read all the backup information for that, and then there'll be the projects for the water fund and for the golf fund finally. So if you don't see a project in there, make sure you go to the back and make sure we hit every fund. And we'll go through that on Wednesday and make sure that we're all on the same page with how we move forward with some of these projects, or how we prioritize some of these projects, and how we pay for some of these projects. So and I would just remind you to if you get a chance, Dean and I will and the department heads we'll answer any question that there is about it, but we'll go through the projects. I think the largest one in there for the upcoming year is going to be the Greenway connection, and so that's the biggest project you'll have to consider, how we're going to do that, and and our timeline for getting that done, and with the direction of the board, we'll prioritize those things and have a plan for the upcoming year.
The only thing I would add to that, just for the members of the public, that's a large expenditure, but also a good bit of that is designated match money as well. So
It is for that.
you see those
There's
numbers.
grant opportunities there.
And the same with the watershed expenditures.
Well,
Some match there as well, isn't there?
I think there are some grant opportunities with some of the watershed improvements. Certainly with the Tomahawk branch, we're going to have some improvements for the branch through the golf course. There are some good opportunities there to partner up with some organizations and do it. I think with some we may bear the brunt of some of the watershed improvements, kind of depending on where they are and what they impact. But there are grant opportunities. That's why we did the plan, was to have to open up some funding sources for us. And so mostly I wanted to remind you that that's what we'll be doing on Wednesday morning, and we'll take our time and answer any question that there is regarding that.
Very good. Do we have any communication from the board members that wish to say anything before we close?
I would just like to thank Alderman Collins for spearheading the work down at the town square on the building. I know he's taken a lot of leadership role in that, and we appreciate it.
Again, yes.
My pleasure. I'd like to thank Josh and the planning board for the work that they always seem like they're doing. They don't wait till something hits them in the face. They're trying to be proactive and get things changed before it ever becomes a problem. And I'm proud of you guys for doing that, the way y'all handle that, because y'all come, you can tell you're doing a lot of work and you're doing a lot of extra things you don't have to. You're not sitting back and waiting it to come to you. You fix it before it ever becomes a problem, and we appreciate that as town board.
Indeed. Sure. Also, the beautification committee too. I'd echo the mayor's comments.
Amen.
We appreciate y'all very much.
Anything else? If not, the meeting adjourned.